Manchester City are preparing a new £127 million bid for Tottenham striker Harry Kane, and that is according to Fabrizio Romano. We also have updates today on Lautaro Martinez, Dusan Vlahovic, and a new centre-back target for Tottenham, according to Veronica Brunati, who says that we are now working on the signing of Villarreal and Spain centre-back Pau Torres. Before we dive into all of these stories, do make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. If you want more of this content throughout the next couple of weeks, also the watch-alongs returning on Sunday. Make sure to hit that like button as well if you're looking forward to the stream. And we're going to dive straight into things because we got this exclusive from Fabrizio Romano about 3 or 4 hours ago when he said Manchester City are not giving up on the Harry Kane deal. The board are preparing a new bid for €150 million, which is £127.2 million, if Spurs change their stance. Tottenham have not received any new proposal for Kane yet, and they do want to keep him. Man City's strategy at the moment is to be ready and wait. So this new bid is not particularly imminent. It's not as though this bid has already been made or anything like that. It is Manchester City simply being ready to put that bid in when Tottenham change their stance and accept that Harry Kane could be leaving the club this summer. The line coming out of Tottenham has remained the same all throughout this saga and remains the same today. They are convinced that they will keep a hold of Harry Kane and they are determined to make him stay at the football club. Man City, on the flip side, it's the same story coming out of them, that they're confident they can get a deal done, and Harry Kane is determined to make this transfer happen. So it's a real game of poker, I think, as Fabrizio Romano described it on his YouTube channel earlier today. Who's going to blink first? Who's going to give their hand away? Look, I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows at the moment. I know a lot of people are really strongly expecting him to stay or expecting him to go, but as much as you can have that sort of opinion on it, I don't think anyone is can be absolutely convinced either way whether the player will be staying or going. But there are some other reports today, the majority of which are coming out of the Manchester City side of things, and Jack Gaughan, who works for the Daily Mail, yes, Daily Mail, let's all laugh at that, but according to some City fans I was listening to earlier today, he is right in that kind of press pit, I think he called it, with Man City, in that when the City want to get information out, he's one of the journalists who was briefed about that. And Jack Gaughan today said, it is thought that a deal can be struck at the £127 million price tag, with additional clauses included for a Harry Kane move to Manchester City. So he's saying Man City think that bid of €150 million, again £127 million, will be enough, because it could eventually come to £150 million with add-ons. And I would assume if that is a bid that Spurs are in any way willing to accept, that those add-ons will be realistic ones, such as Manchester City winning the league or winning a few trophies, maybe even the Champions League thrown in there for a small additional bonus at the end. But Jack Gaughan of the Daily Mail saying Man City are confident that that is a deal that they can get done. He also says talks between the clubs over a deal for Kane are expected to escalate after Sunday's Premier League opening clash between the two clubs. And I think that has been a date that a lot of us have been looking forward to, not only in terms of Harry Kane potentially playing against Manchester City, or as some people thought in the early stages of the summer, potentially making his debut for Manchester City against Tottenham, when we know that's not going to happen. But if he is going to be playing for Spurs, that's something I certainly have been looking forward to seeing, if he does score against Man City, if he does get on the pitch. And I think it was We Are Tottenham TV tweeted it yesterday and saying, has a player ever not celebrated against their future clubs? You often see players not celebrate against old clubs. Would Harry Kane celebrate? I think it's a very, very interesting sort of scenario, and it will be quite fun to see how that played out. But I think there's also that fear of something on that day potentially happening, or after that day. The line coming out of Spurs at the beginning of the summer was they do not want Harry Kane playing against them on the opening day of the season, and that was definitive, that was final. Harry Kane would not be lining up for City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the 15th of August, and that wish has come true. Would they be willing to potentially escalate those negotiations following the completion of that game, as we look to get in a few strikers, with Dusan Vlahovic and Lautaro Martinez again being heavily linked and mentioned quite a bit in the press for Tottenham. Govan with the £1.80, thank you so much for that, for the super chat, I do appreciate it. Says, do you personally think we'll accept £127 million? To be honest, today is the first day where I kind of sat back and thought, damn, he could actually be on the way out, because I was so convinced all along that Tottenham would be able to keep a hold of him, simply because Manchester City just wouldn't meet that valuation that we have of the player. But putting forward a bid like that with these potential add-ons and the potential extra fees that could bring this deal to £150 million, which could be, this year, let's say Man City win the Premier League this year, that could be an extra 15-20 million, and a few different other add-ons with performances in the league and individual performances, I'd say, for Harry Kane as well. I think this is one that Levy will probably be contemplating a bit more than that earlier bid in June of £100 million, where Fabrizio Romano said they got the email and didn't even consider it. They just straight up said that's not happening. Cody, good to see in the live chat, says Kane won't feature Sunday. Then the rumour mill would say he refused to play. Then Levy would sell for less than what he's worth, and the fans won't care. Levy masterclass. You know, Cody, that does sound to me like a Levy masterclass rather. Which is fairly similar to what I'm going to say about Lautaro Martinez in a couple of minutes. But yeah, that's definitely something that you could expect of Daniel Levy. A few more reports today on this one. Sam Lee of the Athletic UK has said Manchester City still believe a deal for Tottenham striker Harry Kane will happen. The striker also remains determined to complete the move. So the same kind of lines we've been hearing just being reiterated by the Athletic UK today. Gary Jacobs, who was the first to break the news on Lautaro Martinez and the bid that Tottenham put in last week, he said Man City are set to step up their pursuit of Harry Kane after they play Tottenham on Sunday. City value Kane at around £120 million, although they could also insert add-ons into the deal. So some very similar stories coming out from some very different sources today, which is never an encouraging thing to see, because you have to imagine when there's sheer volume in reports like this that there is and almost has to be an element of truth to it, although it could just be Man City pumping out false information into the press yet again. In a similar way to what Charlie Kane did with the Sun, saying, £160 million agreed, 400k a week, blah, 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 his usual crap. So, look, it's one to keep an eye on there. Like I said, my optimism of Harry Kane staying has definitely faded in the last 12 or so hours. Brian says, I'm getting so annoyed with these rumours. People can clearly see he's going to City, but the parasite has said we won't sell to a Premiership team. Levy out, he's lying again. And oh, by the way, Maddie Hayes. Love that, Brian. I'm glad you didn't forget. Yeah, look, I said all along, I didn't want this to happen. Of course, I didn't want Harry Kane to go to Manchester City, and I up until around today, I didn't really expect it to happen. But if it was going to happen, we should have done it before the Euros. When Kane did that first interview with Sky Sports, the line that was coming out was he wanted to get the situation sorted before the Euros, and you could see at the Euros that he wasn't himself, especially in that group stage. He wasn't the player that England thought they were playing up front, and the player that some fans thought they should drop. If we were going to let him go, we should have got that sorted before the Euros, because then we could have maybe moved on a deal for Dusan Vlahovic a bit faster. We may be in a bad situation with that again. We'll touch on it in a minute. We could have moved for Martinez a little bit faster. We could have maybe got Danny Ings ahead of Aston Villa. But for some reason, it's just being left late again. If this deal is going to happen, it going ahead after the first game of the season, after the season has started, is the worst possible time for it to happen to Tottenham. Replacements will be more difficult to get. If we do get a replacement, they're already behind on getting kind of adjusted and adapted into the squad, and it's just the same old Spurs crap that we've always seen. Look, that is Harry Kane. Opinions changing as well as saying this. Even David Harris, the Irish Hotspur, was saying today he thinks it's going to happen. He thinks he's gone, which is definitely not the David that I've been speaking to for the last couple of weeks and last couple of months. But look, I definitely trust his judgment as well. So we'll have to keep a very close eye on this one. Dusan Vlahovic and his future, the striker from Fiorentina, the Spurs have been linked with in the last couple of days, and those links could potentially be heating up. Gianluigi Langari, who, as I keep saying, has had a fantastic transfer window, has said Tottenham have started talks with Fiorentina over a deal for Dusan Vlahovic. Fiorentina are also discussing a new contract with the player. They want to keep him, and no surprise really in there. I think it's, of course, a bit of an escalation that Tottenham have now started talks with Fiorentina, according to Langari, but we knew in the last couple of days that Fiorentina wanted him to sign a new contract. Of course they want to keep him. He had an incredible year last year, and I forget off the top of my head how many goals he scored for them in the Serie A. I think it was 23 or something, but I'll find it for you here. 21 goals in 37 games, and he is still only 21. So Vlahovic, a very good option for us, I would say a potentially realistic option as well. But Fiorentina stepping up their talks with him for a new contract as well. That could just be applied to get a higher fee. Romano was saying yesterday they want more than €60 million, and if he has a longer contract, it's going to be even easier for them to demand a higher fee. Let's have a quick look and see how long is actually left on his contract at Fiorentina. So he's 2 years left in his contract. Increase that by a year or two, and that adds 10, 15, 20 million onto his price tag. And that could be the way they're going with that one, or they could simply want the striker to stay, which wouldn't surprise anyone. Alfredo Padula, I don't really know too much about him as a source, but he has said quickly that Tottenham are only planning to move for Dusan Vlahovic if Harry Kane leaves. Fiorentina want €70 million for the striker, and I think we had a similar story yesterday about him coming in as a replacement if Harry Kane did go, and I can't see it there in my notes from yesterday, but there definitely was another story similar to that one, that Vlahovic will be coming in as a replacement if it was going to happen. With regards to another team that is in the race for Dusan Vlahovic, that is of course Atletico Madrid, the current Spanish champions. Gianluca Di Marzio has said that Atletico Madrid are serious about signing Vlahovic and are preparing their first bid for the forward. Matteo Moretto gives a bit more detail on that bid and says that Atletico Madrid will look to offer €50 million plus incentives for reported Tottenham target Dusan Vlahovic. Mason, please don't spam the chat. We're going to get to that shortly. So, if Atletico Madrid are stepping up their pursuit of him, well, that has bearing on Vlahovic and also on Lautaro Martinez. I think if Vlahovic is given proposals from Madrid and Tottenham, let's just say, for example, we put in the same bid and they're both accepted, it's hard to see him picking a Europa Conference League team over a Champions League team, and a team who are champions of their domestic league. Barcelona in their shocking situation, Real Madrid not exactly doing great business in this transfer window either. They could have another league title coming down the line. So I think, look, it's very possible that Vlahovic would pick Atletico Madrid over Tottenham. We'd have to wait and see how that one pans out. Of course, that does have bearing on Tottenham's pursuit of Lautaro Martinez as well, because Atletico Madrid were another team that were interested in the Argentinian forward. However, if he is going to be signing a new contract or putting pen to paper on any deal this summer, it could potentially be a new contract at Inter Milan. Fabrizio Romano told us today that Inter Milan has scheduled talks with Lautaro Martinez to extend his contract until June of 2026. Again, not sure how long's left in Lautaro's contract, but we can check that very, very quickly. But if that contract is extended till 2026, that's a 5-year deal. Martinez is there for at least the next 2 or 3 years. So he currently has 2 years left on his contract, same as Vlahovic, and they're in talks there for a new contract as well. Gianluigi Langari has said Inter Milan do not want to sell Spurs target Lautaro Martinez, and €70 million is not enough. And it's that bid that we had agreed in principle with Inter Milan last week of €70 million now simply isn't enough, because Romelu Lukaku today officially completed his transfer to Chelsea. They're dubbing it Luku's back, and I thought that was absolutely incredible. But Langari saying 70 million isn't enough, and Romano said it could be up to 90 million. But I'm sure there will be add-ons at that if that is something that Spurs do go ahead with. Lautaro's agent, Alejandro Camano, was speaking today as well via Cesar Luis Merlo, and he was talking on Martinez's feeling at the moment. Today, he's not leaving Inter despite offers from England. He is happy there and loves the club. Next week, I will meet to talk about renewal, or will is clear, but it will also depend on them. So a few interesting things to take from that. Look, Camano confirming there are offers from England. I know Arsenal were being mentioned at some point, but offers from England, all these rumours around Tottenham, you'd have to imagine there is a vast element of truth to that. He's happy there and loves the club. Romelu Lukaku said the exact same thing 2 or 3 weeks ago, not via his agent, not via any journalist intermediaries, himself on Twitter during a Q&A. He said, I'm happy in Milan, I want to stay in Milan, I'm going to stay in Milan. And now he is Chelsea's club record signing. Camano there as well confirming they will be meeting the club next week to talk about a contract renewal, but he says Orwell is clear, but it will also depend on them, and that is where this one is potentially in a bit of doubt, because we all know the financial situation Inter Milan are in, and we're not going to go too much detail in it now because we've done that in every stream in the last week or so. But Martinez is on €80,000 a week before tax, around 40,000 after tax. Inter may not be able to afford to offer much more than that. Yes, they've let Lukaku go for £97 million. They've sold Hakimi as well for about £50 million. But they brought in Edin Dzeko, who may be officially announced at this point. That one is very, very close. They're bringing in Denzel Dumfries as well. They're looking to get a few more attackers with Duvan Zapata. That deal potentially in a bit of doubt, but they've also inquired about Lazio's Joaquin Correa, who worked with their manager Simone Inzaghi last year, and also Napoli's Lorenzo Insigne, who had a fantastic Euros with Italy. So if they're looking to bring in, that's 4 strikers they're in talks with, one who's guaranteed, and there's going to be another striker signing. They already have Politano and Alexis Sanchez in there who do play up front for them. That's a lot of options, and you'd have to wonder, first of all, where they're getting that money from, given everything that's going on, and also, are they willing to be so kind of top-heavy within that squad? We'll have to wait and see. But as Langari said yesterday, Inter Milan's owners at any point could decide to sell any player, and that is where Tottenham's hope are coming from at the moment. There's one journalist, however, who said a couple of days ago, following the breakdown of the initial bid from Tottenham, that the two clubs have now come to a financial agreement. That is Fabio Gatto, who typically covers AC Milan but has done a bit on Inter Milan as well. And it was actually the 24th of May he tweeted out a picture of Lukaku in a Chelsea shirt, which was way earlier than anybody else on that move, if it was him knowing there was something happening there. But he has said the hold up in Tottenham's move for Lautaro Martinez is the player himself who wants to play Champions League football. The two clubs already have a financial agreement for the transfer, and I was talking to him earlier, and he said it's about €80 million for that agreement. Now, Alistair Gold has said Martinez is keen on a move to Tottenham, but I feel like it could be a very similar situation to the Jules Koundé talks that we had initially, where the player would go to Tottenham, but ideally wants Champions League football. And Martinez going into these contract negotiations next week with Inter Milan, who are of course in the Champions League, potentially seeing how Atletico Madrid's pursuit of Dusan Vlahovic plays out, and seeing if any other clubs could maybe go for a move, because if Manchester City don't get Harry Kane, they could be in the market for a new striker, and Martinez will definitely be better off going there. It could just be a case of him waiting to see how things pans out, but maybe being okay to settle with the move to Tottenham at the end of the window. Tottenham Tantrum, Dermot with the super chat with the €5. Thank you so much, I do appreciate it. Says, I bet you there'll be an announcement after the City game. Why do we always leave it late? But a Nuno we trust, come on you Spurs. And I feel that is the concern. If we do start to get those stories in the press a few days after the City game, as always, let's take it with a pinch of salt, but if it starts coming from the reliable sources and all that, that's definitely strategic on Tottenham's point of view, and then saying it's not going, he's not leaving all summer, has just been kind of saving face in public, which, again, is not a surprise from Spurs. But thank you very much for the super chat again. On Pau Torres, this is the most interesting bit of news to come out for me today. It's Veronica Brunati, a Spanish journalist, who was saying that Tottenham are working on the signing of Pau Torres, and I don't know too much about her as a source in terms of how reliable she is, and I don't think many people on Spurs Twitter do either, but she has over 100,000 followers and is followed by Fabrizio Romano, and I think that in itself gives an indication that there's probably some element of truth to what she's talking about. I hope everything she says is absolutely spot on and absolutely true, because Pau Torres is, for me, one of the perfect players to partner Christian Romero at the back. He left-footed, left-sided player, maybe that long-term replacement for Jan Vertonghen we've been looking for. Isn't really as tactically aggressive as Christian Romero, as we've been talking about quite a bit in terms of Maxence Lacroix not exactly being a good player to partner him. Torres did well at Villarreal last year, of course, won the Europa League, then went with Spain to the Euros and had a fairly good competition there as well. So we'll have to wait and see how that one goes. Fabrizio Romano in June was talking about Pau Torres to Man United, and he confirmed that he has a release clause of €65 million, which is about £55 million. So if Tottenham do want to get that deal done, it's going to be a huge financial demand that we will need to meet in order to get that deal in. Mason says, what price you reckon? I think it would have to be close to that release clause personally. Look, Villarreal, not typically a team who, I just realised my TV's on, not typically a team who have, keep these incredible players for long term. They are, as a lot of those Spanish teams outside of the top two are, they get these really good players, develop and they sell them on for a huge profit, and then all of a sudden they have another player coming through that system. And I will put Villarreal in a similar bracket to that. Of course, there is that kind of relationship there between Tottenham and Villarreal with the transfer of Juan Foyth, which technically took place last summer in terms of the negotiations and stuff like that, but we managed to get him off the books permanently this summer. There is another former player there, Etienne Capoue, but of course he had 6 years at Watford in between his time at the two clubs. A few smaller stories to get through as well. Football Insider, who I always say are a very reliable source for EFL transfer news, have said that Bournemouth have reignited talks to sign Tottenham defender Cameron Carter-Vickers on a permanent deal. Carter-Vickers took part in full squad training today as a lot of players returned for the first time. Officially, the club have confirmed their new squad numbers, and two new signings are in there in Pierluigi Gallini, who will take the number 22, and Brian Gill, who will take the number 11. There's a few young players in that team as well, with Dane Scarlett taking number 44 and Maxim Pascazzi getting number 48 as well. We mentioned yesterday a lot of the midfielders that we were linked to. João Palhinha was one that was getting quite a few links, especially from the Portuguese side of the press, with Pedro Almeida, Ebola, Record Portugal all mentioning João Palhinha to Tottenham as a possibility. And today, Record Portugal via Sport Witness have said Spurs are preparing their first offer for João Palhinha. Spurs believe €20 million could be enough, although Sporting Lisbon want €40 million to open negotiations. So negotiations there, potentially ones that are over before they've ever even gotten started, if they are going to demand that much for the midfielder. I think they're just better options out there for us, really. especially players with Premier League experience that could demand a similar fee, but would definitely be a better option for Spurs to get done. But look, that's it. There's not too much to get through today. There was so much to get through yesterday, I couldn't even give an opinion on it or anything like that, but I think we've gone through a bit more today. I hope everyone has enjoyed the stream. Do make sure to hit that like button down below if you have enjoyed it. We're on 98 likes with 570 people watching, so I'm sure we can get that up to 150 as quickly as possible. And do make sure to subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. We're on the road to 20k by Halloween, according to Cody Mack. So let's see if we can get that done. We've just gone past 11,500. So let's focus on getting that to 12 first of all. Do follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, at Matt Hayes THFC. I'll put that in the live chat now. And if you do want to join our fantasy football league as well, I'm going to throw the code for that in the live chat as well, or the join link rather. We have, I think, maybe 250 people in there already. So if you do want to join that league, hopefully it's going to be a fun one for the season ahead. The majority of people in there are Spurs fans, so it should be quite fun to get that done. So hit that link there in the live chat if you do want to join the Fantasy Football League. Like as always, subscribe. But for now, thank you so much for watching. We got a super chat there. I just saw that super chat. Thank you so much, Crocodox, for the £10 super chat. We got to come back in for this one. Says, if Kane leaves at the end of the window, is it late? With the strikers we are looking at and their price, it seems we've already been planning, waiting to do everything in one go. Should it go ahead? And look, that's potentially a good point. To be honest, it seems we have been planning, and I think a lot of that does come down to Fabio Paratici and just the way he likes to do things, and that he'll have 3, 4, 5 transfers potentially all on the go at one point as well, which could work out to be very good for us. I think it probably worked quite a bit in trying to get that deal done for Christian Romero as well. But I do think it is too late, even in terms of trying to get players into the team and getting them, settled into the squad and all that good stuff, if we do want to get that done. But yeah, look, for me, it is still late. It is still late, but it's better than nothing. If we do have those other players in place to go, but we could quickly be losing our chance to do that when you're looking at, again, with Lautaro Martinez maybe signing that new contract, and Dusan Vlahovic maybe going to Atletico Madrid, Danny Ings gone to Aston Villa, all these different players and all these different targets that we've been looking at. We could be in a worse position than we are perhaps expecting. But Crocodox, thank you for that super chat. I apologise for almost missing it, but I appreciate it. Everyone, as always, thanks for watching.